On April 14th, amid escalating conflict in the Middle East, Houthi forces made a stunning announcement. They alleged they had successfully struck the $13 billion zero-cents U.S. aircraft carrier, the USS Harry S. Truman, CVN-75, using a mix of drones and missiles. This marked a potentially historic moment. The first time a U.S. carrier had been taken out since World War II, something that could significantly shift regional power dynamics. Shortly after the Houthis made their claim, the USS Truman docked in Greece for repairs, citing damage to its hull. The damage was unmistakable, clearly visible. But the U.S. military has yet to confirm what exactly caused it. So the crucial question stands, was it really due to a Houthi strike? Let's dig deeper with Navy Secret. It wasn't unexpected, but it struck hard. In a globally broadcast message, Houthi spokesman Yahya Sarria made a dramatic statement, claiming their forces had targeted the USS Harry S. Truman not once, but 3 times. Their mission? Deal maximum damage to one of America's most iconic warships. Central to the attack was the Quds-4 missile, an extended-range weapon reportedly capable of traveling over 2,000 km. Its jet engine prowled and guided to strike large vessels with lethal accuracy. The Quds-4 wasn't meant to intimidate. It was engineered to destroy. But missiles weren't the only threat launched from Yemen. Samud-3 drones also soared into action. These drones are compact, quiet, and lethal, designed to crash into targets and detonate. They can fly for hours and cover long distances, making interception difficult, especially in large numbers. Though inexpensive, they pack a serious punch in naval warfare. A coordinated swarm of such drones can overpower even top-tier defense systems. This was asymmetrical warfare in its rawest form, employing intelligent, scalable, and cost-effective tools to confront a global power. With firm backing from Iran, the Houthis have long acted like a disciplined, well-equipped militia. Convinced of their combat strength. But the real question persists. Did they actually harm the USS Harry S. Truman, going up against the world's most sophisticated military force? Media outlets across the world scrambled to cover the explosive claim, flooding the airwaves and news feeds, leaving many confused. Did a non-state group like the Houthis genuinely deliver a blow to U.S. military supremacy? The reality, however, seems distant from their bold assertions. Or better said, from what they wished to portray. They may want to reconsider their rhetoric, as it appears they've severely misjudged their own reach when taking on the U.S. military. The American response was fast and firmly executed. They declared in no uncertain terms that there is no verified evidence that the supercarrier USS Harry S. Truman was hit. Well before these inflated statements went viral, satellite images from ESA and Newsweek on April 10th painted a different picture. The Truman was fully intact and active near Yemeni waters, standing tall as a maritime sentinel in the Red Sea. That same day, U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, shared a post on X stating that the aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson, along with its F-35C Lightning II fighters, was operating in conjunction with the USS Harry S. Truman within the CENTCOM zone of responsibility. It was the strongest confirmation yet, The Truman was alive, well, and on active duty. On April 16th, Stars and Stripes reported that the crew aboard the Truman was peacefully observing Passover, hosting a traditional Seder right on the ship's deck. This despite the Houthis' dramatic claims. Particularly noteworthy, General Alex Grinkwich, Director of Operations for the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, verified that Houthi missile strikes targeting the USS Harry S. Truman had missed their mark by over 100 miles.
Because while we're executing precision strikes, they missed by over 100 miles. So I would just tell you, their effectiveness, I would question anything that they claim in the press that they're doing or not doing. It's very hard to tell what they are just based on their level of incompetence that they've demonstrated.
That vast distance speaks volumes, not just in terms of physical space, but in capability, skill, and technological precision. One force launches stealth fighters from billion-dollar carriers, the other lobs projectiles and hopes they land. The contrast couldn't be more obvious. Nor could the facts. The Houthis didn't hit anything. For days, sensational headlines flooded the news cycle, echoing the Houthis' assertion that they had scored a direct hit on one of America's most formidable naval vessels. But there was one major issue. It simply wasn't true. Yes, the USS Harry S. Truman did sustain some damage, but not from missiles, not from drones, and certainly not from enemy action. The real story, though far less dramatic, is even more revealing. On the night of February 16th, just before midnight, the USS Harry S. Truman was navigating waters near Port Said, Egypt, at the gateway to the Mediterranean Sea. During standard operations, the massive carrier unintentionally collided with a commercial ship, the Turkish-flagged Basaktas MM, at exactly 11:46 p.m. It wasn't an attack, it was a navigational accident. This was later confirmed through official U.S. Navy communications. Commander Timothy Gorman, spokesperson for the U.S. Sixth Fleet, assured the public, there was no danger to the ship. That's right, the Truman was never at risk. The damage was limited to the outer hull, above the waterline, and posed no threat to essential systems. Engines, weaponry, and aircraft were entirely unaffected. Photographs taken on February 18th confirmed this version of events. No burn damage, no explosive impact, no signs of hostile engagement. And that's not all. Photos of the Basaktas, while docked in port, showed visible damage to its port side, concrete evidence that this was a two-ship collision, not an act of war. By mid-February, the USS Harry S. Truman had docked in Greece for repairs. According to Navy documentation, the ship suffered superficial damage to its hull and a few storage compartments. No weapon systems were harmed. Engines and flight decks remained fully functional. No personnel were injured, and all ship functions continued as normal. By February 24th, all repairs had been completed. No signs of combat, no explosions, just a maritime mishap, plain and simple. But the Houthis twisted the narrative. They falsely claimed responsibility and spread the story as if it were a successful strike. In reality, official records and visible evidence prove beyond doubt it wasn't an attack. And it certainly wasn't a victory. So why does this even matter? Because in today's battlefield, perception wields power. Though they never hit the Truman, the Houthis attempted to spin media confusion into a fabricated triumph. They gambled on the world not verifying the facts. But now, the truth is undeniable. The USS Harry S. Truman remains operational, armed, and undefeated. The headline was fiction. The fact is resilience. She is far more than just a warship. The USS Harry S. Truman stands as a moving declaration of American might. Built with next-gen tech and fortified armor, this supercarrier is both shield and symbol, warning adversaries while assuring allies. In the treacherous waters of the Red Sea, where threats can rise unexpectedly, the Truman stands ready. She's a multi-billion-dollar fortress, guarding global trade lanes with unmatched presence. This ship doesn't merely arrive, she commands. The waters surrounding the carrier are tightly secured. U.S. Navy escort vessels employ the powerful Aegis combat system to intercept and eliminate incoming threats. Above her, E-2D Advanced Hawkeye aircraft constantly scan the skies for potential danger. Electronic warfare capabilities on board jam enemy transmissions and mislead incoming missiles or drones. Every offensive attempt, be it a missile or UAV, must penetrate multiple protective layers. First, it's identified, then tracked, and finally neutralized. Quickly and efficiently. This is what's known as the kill chain, one of the world's most difficult defensive networks to breach. It integrates air defense, surface security, and cyber protection into a unified combat system. Getting through it is almost impossible. While some naval assets are aging relics, the USS Harry S. Truman is not. She's battle-tested and has undergone several modernization upgrades. Today, she's more formidable than ever before. Fueled by nuclear reactors, she can remain at sea for extended durations without needing to refuel, giving her unmatched endurance and readiness. But perhaps her most lethal edge lies on her flight deck. The aircraft she carries. The Truman is equipped with a fearsome fleet of jets. The F/A-18 Super Hornets bring precision and power, while the A-18G Growlers specialize in jamming and disabling enemy systems. Together, they dominate airspace, defend the carrier group, and deliver a bold message. U.S. forces rule the skies. This is modern power. Swift, silent, and unstoppable. In March 2025, the U.S. launched Operation Rough Rider, a decisive military campaign aimed squarely at dismantling the Houthi threat. After enduring weeks of persistent missile and drone attacks in the Red Sea, it was time to answer forcefully. This wasn't just defense. It was a full-scale offensive. At the heart of the response was a rare maneuver, the simultaneous deployment of two aircraft carriers, the USS Harry S. Truman and the USS Carl Vinson. These floating fortresses formed a rare dual-carrier strike force, the first of its kind in years within the region. This move wasn't symbolic. It delivered total air supremacy. Fighter jets patrolled day and night. Recon teams tracked enemy movements around the clock. Strike units could launch from any angle at any moment. But what truly made Operation Rough Rider effective wasn't just the firepower. It was the strategy. Instead of merely intercepting drones and missiles, the U.S. military targeted the infrastructure enabling those weapons. Fuel depots, oil terminals, and smuggling paths were hit hard. These weren't random strikes. They were precise blows aimed at cutting the Houthis' financial and operational lifelines. No fuel means no drones. No oil sales mean fewer weapons. And without logistical routes, the supply chain falls apart. By April, satellite imagery captured oil tanks ablaze at Ras Issa, one of the Houthis' most vital energy ports. Convoys of supply trucks were destroyed along barren roads. Intelligence confirmed the annihilation of drone stockpiles and missile warehouses. The U.S. had a clear message for the Houthi leadership: threaten maritime safety, and your ability to wage war will be erased. The aftermath of Operation Rough Rider went beyond figures. It reshaped reality. U.S. Central Command reported over 1,000 Houthi-linked targets had been eliminated, including command centers, mobile missile batteries, drone launch pads, and arms caches. High-ranking field commanders were killed. Even drone engineers and missile technicians were among the casualties. The results were immediate. Ballistic missile attacks dropped by 69%. Suicide drone strikes fell by 55%. These numbers aren't estimates. They're pulled from real-time operational data. Still, the mission wasn't without losses. 3 F/A-18 Super Hornets from the Truman were lost. One due to a misfire, another during an emergency sea landing under enemy fire. One airstrike also unintentionally caused civilian casualties near Ras Isa, drawing criticism and concern globally. Nevertheless, the campaign pressed on. Supported by the UK's Royal Air Force and US B-2 stealth bombers flying out of Diego Garcia, American airstrikes penetrated deep into Yemeni territory. Even drone assembly facilities near Sana'a were targeted. Finally, on May 6, a breakthrough was reached. Oman facilitated a ceasefire agreement between the US and Houthi forces. Under this deal, the Houthis pledged to halt attacks on US vessels,